Okay guys, I'm going to run you through how to do a real quick simple service. We're working on a 2023 Acura RDX, and of course this one has the turbo. And so we're going to do a fuel system treatment on it, clean out the injectors. We're going to clean out all of the air inlets, and also we're going to do brake service. So I'm going to replace the brake fluid, flush it out. And last but not least, we're going to do an AC system clean. The products that we're using today, of course, we're going to use this disinfectant deodorizer. It's a 10-second kill. This stuff works really good. We're just going to spray that down the vents, also down around our evaporator to kill all the mildew and all of the odors and bacteria that could be stored in there. Secondly, we're going to use our seafoam. You guys know about the famous seafoam. Me and Big Cat Racing, we've been using this stuff, and it's been a really good product. And so, of course, we're not sponsored by anybody, but we just know these products work good, and we want to share the wealth of knowledge with you guys. And last but not least, we're just going to be using some regular .3 brake fluid from O'Reilly's. Of course, this is a premium brake fluid, well, synthetic, so this is really good for pretty much every make and model per manufacturer specification. Of course, we have our handy dandy Mighty Vac. It's where we can suck all the fluid out of the reservoir. Okay, so we're going to go through this process, get this done, so we get this vehicle back on the road. All right, guys, we're going to start with the brake system service. So the first thing we want to do is remove the brake cap, and of course inside of there we have our little baffle, so we want to be able to lift that up out of there. I'm going to try to do this with one hand, but I may have to use two. This little baffle just pops out, and that way we can gain access to our reservoir. And then once we pop it out, because you can see how dirty the brake fluid is, we're going to flush that out really good. It's recommended to do the brake flush at least every 30,000 miles. Sometimes it may take a little, may have to do it a little sooner than that, depending on driving conditions. So right now we're just going to take our suction hose from our Mighty Vac. Of course, this is a vacuum, so all we have to do is pump it up. And once we pump it up, guys, you can see all of the dirty fluid that's coming out. It's going through the lines, boom, and going to our Mighty Vac. Okay. So we're going to do this to suck all that dirty stuff out of the reservoir. You may want to move your tube around, that way you can suck all of it out. Of course, you can hear the vacuum pulling. Do our pump to suck all that old stuff out. And we'll stick it all the way to the back of the reservoir to make sure we got everything good. Okay, looks like everything is coming through the lines. All right, the next thing that we want to do is we want to take a funnel. That way we can add fresh brake fluid to it. So we'll grab our gallon jug, and we're just going to top it off just like this. Look how clean and pretty it is, guys. We want to get it all the way up to the fuel mark, and I'll stop and I'll show you guys where that is, because I think we're about there. Of course, on this particular reservoir, you can see our lines right there beside which says max fuel. I went a little above, because what I want to do, actually that's the minimum and that's the maximum. What I want to do is just flush this out again, so I'm going to go in and depress the brakes a few times, just so I can push the brake fluid through the master cylinder. So we're going to do that right now. First, we want to go inside of the vehicle, match the brake pedal. This is automatic, so this is my gas, and in the middle is my brake. So I'm going to mash it, just give it a few times. And at this point, you don't really need to start the vehicle. Of course, we're just doing a static bleed on this one. So I'm just going to mash it a few times. That'll get the fluid pumping through the bypass in the master cylinder. And that way, hopefully, I can get some more of the dirty fluid out. Pedal feels firm. And then we'll go right back out. And since we already have our line in there, of course, we're going to suck this fluid out. So this vacuum, and you guys can see the fluid as it goes down. It's really clear now, so it's a little bit harder to see. So just right off the bat, we've already pretty much gotten the old contaminants out of the system. As we suck it, you can see it going through the lines. Cut them all down through my, there you go, through my vacuum. This particular one is made by Mighty Vac. You can order these on like Amazon. I don't know the specific part number, but if you go on Amazon to look for Mighty Vac bleeder, then they have several ones. This just happened to be the taller one. I think it holds up to 6 quarts if I'm not mistaken. All right, now that we have it all out, of course, we'll go ahead and move our line out of the way. You definitely want to be careful with that brake fluid. Brake fluid is definitely highly corrosive and it will destroy the paint if you get it on the paint. So let's make sure we don't do any spills. All right, we got our funnel in, and again, we just want to go and fill it up. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to do this with one hand. Usually I have two hands doing this, but I'm trying to film and do this at the same time. And we just want to get it up to the max. All right, once we get it up to the max, we want to go ahead and double check it. First, you can see how clear the fluid is now. We're right at our max line. All right, moving on to the next. All right guys, so now what we want to do is gain access to the inside. We're going to find the cabin air filter housing area. And so usually it's behind the glove box. In this particular one, it's right behind the glove box. So we pop out the little cover, and then we can see the actual cabin filter. So we'll definitely inspect the cabin filter to make sure that it's good. And of course, you just want to look at it to make sure it's not all filled with a lot of debris. And a lot of times if you look up and you can see skylight through it, that means that the filter is still in pretty good shape. Of course, this one looks like it has been replaced recently at some point. It's an STP, it's not an Acura or Honda. So once we get access to that, of course you guys can see right going in here, I'm gonna show you a little bit. This is where my blower goes, and it goes directly to my evaporator. So what we're gonna do with our can of 10-second, we're gonna take it. Sorry about all the movement. Again, I'm trying to do this with one hand. I'm on the fly. So we're gonna take it and we're gonna shoot it inside of our evaporator. And then we want to spray real good. You can see the film coming out. This stuff works really good. You want to spray it in there really solid. All right, once you get it in there, because it's a fog, we can go directly to the vents. And we want to spray through the vents, okay? So just like this. Again, you'll see it start to come out of the other vents. I usually do about 5 to 6 seconds. Again, we're gonna go in our upper vent. This is for the default. So just to catch it on the top upper vent, so you can see it coming through. And yes, there are different methods to do this, guys. This is just, again, a quick way, do-it-yourselfer. If you want to do it at home, you don't have all the fancy equipment. This way works really good. I'm gonna go on to the other side. That way I can get it. Oh, it's a little foggy in here. And the vehicle really needs to sit 2 for a few hours after you do this. Don't give it back to your customer, or don't ride in the vehicle right when you've done this, because this is a disinfectant and it's really strong and potent. So it needs to breathe a little bit, guys. All right, gonna do it in both of those. So we're gonna get in there really good. And I usually start on my outside vents because those will flow over down to the inside, and then we can come over to our inside vents. And again, just do the same thing. You want to spray that really good. Yeah, like I said, about 5 to 6 seconds is usually what I do. And then we can see it on the other side. We'll do the same thing. But this is going to eat up a lot of that moisture. Well, not necessarily moisture, but mildew and stuff caused by moisture, and the bacteria sometimes that settles in. This is good to do every 30,000 miles as well. Again, you may need to do it as often as you need to, depending on your driving condition. All right, guys, now that we have that all sprayed down, of course, we want to slide our filter back in place. And again, it's just slide right in a little box. Doing this one hand, it is a little tricky. But then if you look, it shows you which direction it's supposed to go. That's up. So we're just going to slide this in. Boom, pop it into place. Sometimes you have to put these in like one corner at a time just to get it to pop in. But once you get it lined up, it should pop right into place. Oh my gosh, it's hard to do with one hand. Let me see. I don't feel it popping. I like for it to pop, that way I know it's in there and it won't fall back down. But again, with one hand, it's hard to do. Difficult to do. Let me try on my right hand. I'm right-handed anyway. Oh, there it is. It popped into place. All right, now we take out the cover, slide it back on. Of course, this one's slides down in the little slots, and then it pops up. So, slide it in. Actually, I think it goes upside down. Yeah, like that. That pops into place. And then, of course, we'll take our little tray, slide it back in. Yeah, this is gonna slide up here on this side. Okay, and then of course we put the customer's items back in. And then we're all done. All right, guys, and last but not least, we're gonna do our famous seafoam treatment. So we already got the gas cap pop, which this is a gasless, a capless fuel tank system. So that's actually where it seals off right there. So now I need to do this with one hand, hopefully. I need to open up a little divider so my phone can slide through, which it does. Awesome. And then we're gonna put, this is a 16-ounce can. Of course, this is our seafoam, but we're gonna put about 4 ounces in. Okay. All right. And then we're gonna let that go through the gas tank itself. We already have a low volume of fuel in here, so that's going to be very potent to where it'll get a really good mixture. I gotta take this funnel out, guys. I may need 2 hands to do it. These are a little tricky because it has a little flap that goes in there. All right, let me get this out and I'll come back to it. Guys, next one. All right, so I just thought about it. Some of you guys may not have the actual like canister that you can actually put into the so you can inject the seafoam into the vehicle. So I'm going to show you just a quick hack. If you just want to use the can, what you're going to have is a drill, and have at least a 1/4 inch drill bit or 17/64. Depends on what type of line that you have. Of course, right here we have this little small rubber line, so this is about a quarter inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole in the top of this cap, and then I'm going to put a hole right here on the top of the can, just so it can be able to breathe through and it can suck down my seafoam. So this is just a hack if you don't have the actual machine like at the auto supply stores or at the dealerships. So let me drill this out and I'll come right back. All right, now we've drilled our hole into the top of the cap of the seafoam. So now we'll be able to insert our rubber hose inside of there. And then again, once we get it up, we're gonna put a little hole right on the side of it, just so at the top of the can, because we're gonna have this can hanging upside down like this. And so we're gonna put a hole right there at the top on the corner. That way it'll be able to breathe out. All right, guys, here we go again. I know I'm doing this on the fly, so I didn't have this stage or anything. I just had a customer. They wanted this done, so I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this, why don't I show some do-it-yourselfers how to do it at home so they can save a lot of money. The dealership quoted her like almost $700 some to get this same service that we're doing here, that we can do at the house. Of course, yes, I'm in my school garage, but I can do the same thing at the house just with a few of the tools. And so I charge her only $300, and the customer is completely satisfied with that. So I got my little drill bit in. I think I got a 5/64 drill bit. You just want the hole small enough to again go on the bottom of the can. Essentially, I got my hose in my can now. As you can see, it's not going to leak. The rubber is kind of acting as a seal to seal it off. So I can hold my can up like this. And again, this is right on the fly. So if you don't have all the fancy stuff, of course, as we continue to do this, I can have some makeshift stuff to make this a whole lot better. But we're going to drill this hole right here on the side. And I'm going to hold this can while I'm doing it. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it, just so you can see. Because we just don't want any vacuum to build up. I'm trying to set up my cell phone now while I'm drilling this, just so you guys can be able to see. Bear with me, bear with me. Man, this is on the fly. I'm doing this one-handed. It's like the one-handed bandit. Hold on. Let me see if I can get from the other side, just so I can get it to set up. All right, cool. Hopefully you guys can see that. I just set my cell phone under the engine bay, and I'm taking my drill bit now. And again, I'm gonna drill a hole right in the side of the can at the top. Boom. There we go. All right. So once I have my hole at the top, now when I start the engine, of course the engine is gonna pull a vacuum. So we don't want to pull a vacuum on the can because it's gonna stop the flow of the seafoam or whatever you're using, or the product that you're using. So this is going to allow it to be able to suck into the vehicle. All right, now I'm going to start the vehicle up. I think I'm going to grab my scan tool so I can see if I can just adjust the idle at 2,000 RPM so I can be out here and hold the can. All right, guys, back again. So I tried to get my scan tool to go into the function so I can control the idle, but on this particular one, I think I need to update my scanner because it's not letting me do it. So we're going to go old school. We're just going to get a rod. So where we can put, and this is actually a hood propping tool, and we're actually going to adjust this right between my gas pedal and my seat. And once we get this set, then we'll move the seat and adjust it so we can get to our 2000 RPM. So I'm just taking this rod, putting it on the accelerator pedal, and putting it right between the seat. And actually, let me adjust the seat back a little bit. I'm up a little too far. And once I get it down on there, of course you guys can hear the RPMs. So now I just want to go back with my seat until I get it down right to the 2000, and go back a little bit more. Boom, right there on the money. So all I did was, again, I put my rod in between the seats, it's on the gas pedal, and then I just hit the adjuster button to get it to adjust until my pedal was holding until it got to 2000 RPM. Just a little trick that you guys can use at the house. All right, so now that we have our engine running, 2000 RPM, again, we're gonna go ahead and plug up our can, our seafoam, and one-handed bandit. Then we're gonna turn this bad boy up and let it suck in. And of course, you want to suck in the remainder of the contents. We're doing a whole seafoam treatment on this one so we can clean out the induction system. And you can feel it as it's going through, because we got our little hole in to let it suck through. Yeah, you'll hear the engine kind of die down just a little bit from time to time as it sucks it through. But just keep an eye on it, make sure everything is good. Shake the can a little bit, just to make sure all the content is coming out. We're almost there. This is a little bit faster method as far as getting the seafoam into the engine. Of course, the slower that you can gradually put it in the engine, but this one wasn't that bad. This engine, this car only has like 35,000 miles, so I don't suspect it has a lot of carbon buildup on it anyway. But older vehicles, especially if it has a lot of, been running a while with a few miles on it, you definitely want to take your time with the seafoam. That way it can work itself all the way through it. All right, we're gonna let this run through and then we'll come back at it. All right, guys, now that we've allowed the seafoam to sit in the vehicle, it's probably sitting in there about 30 minutes. Of course, the longer you let it sit in, the better, because that means it's gonna eat up all the carbon. So now since we let it set, we're gonna go ahead and go in, we're gonna start the vehicle, and we're gonna see how it works all the way through. All right, we have the vehicle started up, and of course, right now we got it running. You can smell it real strong. I don't see a lot of smoke coming out of the back end though. So apparently this one wasn't that bad. Let me give it a little gas to get on the accelerator. See if it will do anything for me. Yeah, we're not getting much smoke at all. Yeah, this one, and I told her, I mean, with the miles on it, and she burns premium fuel, I told her it wasn't gonna be that bad. Man, I hate that, because I like to see the smoke come out. I'm gonna have to get one that's really bad so you guys can see the smoke come out. Oh, it's so refreshing to me. But essentially we're done with our vehicle. We got everything done. Of course, no check engine lights. Everything is good. So now I'm gonna go on my test drive. I like to drive it about 10 miles or so. That way I can make sure, you know, we kind of go through all the drive cycles and make sure everything's good. Thanks, guys.